Well, good evening, John. It's a pleasure to be on this event today. And I'm really here to talk to people who are looking for business opportunity, who would like to see an improvement in their finances. I have had success working all over the world for the last 35 years. I've done seminars across the United States, Europe. I just came back from a world tour doing events in Thailand, Australia, New Zealand, back for the Easter holiday to see the family in the US before coming to our apartment here in Spain, where I am today. And we have been sharing information that's been so important for people. As we all know, the economy has been very difficult for many people. There's a gap between the haves and the have nots that keeps growing every day. Yet, in the times that we live in, with the advancement of technologies, there are also people getting wealthier in one lifetime than people did over generations. And so I pride myself from coming from a place where I grew up in the Boston area. I was below broke. I went to college for 2 years. At 29 years old, I was still playing guitar in a rock band in the Boston Club. So I was not considered a successful person financially or a businessman. But I was so tired of where I was financially, I started to really study people who are making money. And a wealthy person once told me, if you can identify a huge problem and provide a solution, that is a great way to profit. I also learned from others that if you help enough other people get what they want, you will get what you want. So, what does that have to do with Zinzino and what we're doing today? Well, I'm going to introduce you to a home based business. As you saw in the video with Hilda, she's a co-founder of Zinzino, a personal friend, someone who I actually went and met with her and her husband Orion to really have an inside look at Zinzino about 16 months ago. I've been with another company for 25 years as a senior vice president, building distribution all over the world through home-based businesses where people would have online stores. And we built over 1 million customers, did in the billions of sales. And many people come to me now that they know I've had incredible financial success and say, why did you choose Zinzino? And so that's what I want to do for all of you tonight. But I want you to think about your own situation as I discuss this information with you. Number one, do you have residual based income? In other words, could you go to the beach today and keep getting paid? Or do you have what most of us grow up learning to have is linear income where you exchange time for money? We have a residual income opportunity. That is why I was excited about this. Now, in my music career, I kept praying if I had one hit record, I could write the song once, it would be played on the radio all over the world, and you leverage all those radio stations to earn life-changing income. That's why they live these incredible lives. But very few people ever get that. So we're going to tell you about a business that has products that are so sticky in terms of marketing because we know they work. It's test-based nutrition. And we know that people's health is the most important thing in their life. Yet there's a huge problem in the world today. There's really a health crisis, a nutrition crisis that you may not even know that's going on, but the awareness is rising. So we got two things converging today. We're going to talk to you about a financial situation where you can add extra money by having an online business and tap into a distribution revolution where you can actually earn money for recommending your website, your online store, and our products. And then also, if you want to leverage your time, you can share this business opportunity with others the same way someone called you today. Now, it's been called networking or network marketing. And I realize it's missing, a lot of people are misinformed and uninformed. So, in the 30 minutes or so I'm going to be with you, I want to dispel all of that. I want to dig into facts and figures. I want to talk to you about a company whose stock in just the last 14 months has more than doubled. I want to tell you, with all my business experience, I assembled a team of people, both on the medical side to study these products and the science of Zinzino, and also to look at the compensation opportunities and the global potential. And we came to a consensus that this will be the next multi-billion-dollar global brand because we're solving a huge problem in the world in terms of health. Now, as some of us are invited to this presentation, maybe you're not really health conscious, maybe you're younger, maybe you think you're going to live forever, but think about this. A healthy man can have 1,000 dreams. An unwell man just has one, and that is to be healthy. So we're going to talk about both, as John said, and thank you, John, for the introduction. We're going to talk to you about health and wealth, but I'm going to focus a little more on the wealth part today because I'm a businessman. I wasn't necessarily looking for a health and wellness company, but when I understood the industry, I understood the trajectory of the industry and this company's uniqueness within this industry. I could not turn down this opportunity. And in just a few short months, 16 months, we've acquired over 20,000 customers. We're building teams all around the world. And you could, for yourself here, you are at the right place at the right time. And I hope you'll see that by the time I finish today. So here we got a company founded by Orion and Hilda Sali. You saw her on the video. It's publicly traded on the stock market out of Scandinavia on the NASDAQ. So you can actually go check the financials out the way I did. I saw them acquiring companies, other direct selling companies. I saw them. I went up there. I went to the laboratories. I went to manufacturing. I met the people behind it. And I, without a doubt, was so impressed how this little known Scandinavian company managed to expand in just recent years into many countries around the world. We officially just opened China on Friday. We're opening the Philippines in June. We're opening Peru after that. We are going to target opening 180 countries. So again, think about business sometimes. A lot of people that make a lot of money maybe don't even work harder than we do. Maybe they're not smarter than we are, but they somehow positioned at the right place at the right time. And boom, they had the explosion of possibility. And I believe everything in me tells me you're in that position. So Zinzino is a global opportunity that uses only social selling. We do not use TV advertising, radio. We save all of that marketing. The only real marketing we do is you and I, people like us, telling friends and family about a breakthrough in the world of health and wellness, a product that people everywhere need, about a dry blood spot test that the whole world needs this test and they don't even know it yet. And we've collected the largest database in the world from this blood sample. So let's just look at the facts. When I looked at the company, I said, okay, they're past the startup phase, but they're not the billion-dollar company yet. I want to position at the growth curve. We call it the bell curve. In fact, the last numbers on this chart was 189 million US. The actual number was about 216 million this last year, and 50% of that was paid out in commissions to people who have online shops just like I do. Our objective is to pioneer test-based global test-based nutrition into a global megatrend. We already know the global supplement industry is enormous, but since the pandemic, it's exploded and expected in just the next couple of years to hit 238 billion. Again, even if you're not into wellness and nutrition, you got to recognize an industry that's on the rise. We already know 1 billion people take supplements. Maybe you're one, and maybe you're one of the 500 million that take supplements that are smart enough to know that omega-3 is one of the most vital nutrients that you should be taking to be able to help be proactive in your health. Again, we're going to tell you some information today, but I'm not going to get deep into the science and the products. I'm going to ask you to get to the person that invited you. We have lots of videos, lots of information, but I want to focus on the business opportunity. We have a scientifically proven product, and we've attracted some of the top experts in research, science, omega-3 scientists that say to me, because I'm not the science guy, that what Zinzino is offering is superior than anything else being offered in the market. Now, why is even this an important subject? Well, National Geographic had a magazine last year that came out on anti-inflammation, and they said the WHO says 6.3 billion people are deficient in omega-3. Now, I didn't even think that was a problem. I didn't think it was a thing. But I didn't know that what happens when you have omega-3 in your body, which is a essential fatty acid. And again, I'm not the scientist, but I learned that these essential fats basically are the membrane around every cell in our body. And when you have too much omega-6, which is in everything we eat, what happens is it creates inflammation, which is not a bad thing because you stub your toe, it turns red. It's healing. But when you have too much of it, and our diets have increased so much because of processed food and just the way everything's changed with our grains and what they feed the animals and what's in the soil. There's this massive imbalance of too much omega-3, omega-6, and it's creating too much of this inflammation where omega-3 is essential for the body. You need it or you'll die, but it suppresses the inflammation. So there's a balancing act that I knew nothing about. So rather than me try to be the scientist, please go to Google, Dr. Google, go to your AI, your Chat GPT, whatever you use, and please, when this is over, put in there what is the importance of the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in your body. Just do it, ask, and you will find out. So this actually can be an indicator that you may be living with inflammation. You may not even feel that as a problem. See, science has recommended that if you can get down to no more omega-3 than omega-6 than 3 parts to 1 part omega-3, you would be what we call in balance. Now, we offer other tests like vitamin D and HB1EC, but this is our hero product. This test and a product we have to solve the problem called Balance Oil. These are the two things that have created 70% of the sales of Zinzino to date. And we're far more than just those two products. But 97% of over 1 million people that we have tested have failed it along the lines of what the World Health Organization says. There is a huge percentage of all of us on this call. Only 3% will not be out of balance if you've never taken our product. In fact, I was a customer taking a product called omega-3, and I failed the test miserably. I switched my money, redirected it to the Zinzino product, and passed the test in 4 months. Now, the reason they say 4 months is it takes 120 days for our red blood cells to replace themselves. We've got so much data, the largest data on the planet on this subject, and we believe in the future 1 billion people will be tested for this. In fact, the medical experts I work with says it will be absolutely crazy that in the next 5 to 10 years that when you go to get your blood work and they say, we need to know your cholesterol, we need to know your blood pressure, they will absolutely want to test you for this critical biomarker. So what happens when we're out of balance? Like I said, your brain, your hair, your skin, your heart, your organs, your joints, your muscles, everything is affected. And this is in the media today. It is in the news. So this is something that really you should pay attention to. In fact, this article came out on March 19th. It was an article that talked about a white paper, which is a technical document that was sent to the White House because they said that there's a dangerous imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 in the U.S. food supply. And they said the research clearly shows this imbalance is a major contributor to obesity, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disorders, neurodegenerative conditions, and comprised autoimmune functions. And it went on to say the authors said that there should be a creation of a federal omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid committee. Can you imagine that? They want to actually create a committee. They said they would assess the omega-3 to omega-6 overconsumption and set up guidelines. They're going to launch education for medical professionals, the food industry, and the public. Now, you may have seen this story, you may have not, but it was on Fox News.
So, a couple of things. I want to use the word inflammation here, Aisha, because inflammation is what we worry about. And omega-6 fatty acids, which are in ultra-processed foods and are in seed oils, have been linked to colon cancer. Omega-3 fatty acids decrease the inflammation in your body. And high fructose corn syrup and stuff that's in ultra-processed foods also not only leads to inflammation, but has been linked to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that is affecting at least 7 million of our kids, if not twice that.
So obviously, this is in the news today. Now, look, some of you are business people, and that's me. I always say that if you could be in front of a paradigm shift, that's where you make a lot of money. What is a paradigm shift? It's when something that most people aren't thinking about, that's not really common knowledge, all of a sudden becomes common knowledge. So when you look at the Zinzino story, it starts out with whether or not we're individually in a danger zone where you could be living with inflammation. That's what the news is telling us. So we get this test. I was 12 to 1. Anybody can take it at home. It's inexpensive. Within 2 weeks, you send it in, you get a medical report. It goes to Oslo, Norway. All the tests, like 30,000 a month, are going here to Oslo, and the number's growing rapidly. This is a company that's independent of Zinzino that works with Harvard, King's College, Max Planck Institute, Mass General, and the list goes on and on. I actually went there 3 times, interviewed the doctor who founded it just to ask from a business perspective, can you scale this if we start doubling and tripling? I wanted to know, are they truly independent? What do you do? I actually interviewed them and put it on my YouTube channel because I thought that was an important thing. And it was so impressive to be there and see how they handle this and what they do. We're definitely on the cutting edge. There's nobody doing what we're doing. So I was out of balance. I was at risk. I was in the danger zone at 12 to 1. 4 months later, I was in the safe zone, 3 to 0.3. Now I'm down after 1 year to 2.2 to 1. As you read more about this, when you Google, there's even better health benefits when you get in the twos. So we've known all over the world, everyone's out of balance. Now, what does that mean for business? Means we have to fix the problem. How does Zinzino do it? Starts with this balance oil, which is a combination of not just fish oil, but it's more like a Mediterranean diet in a bottle, is what I've been told. Mixture of polyphenol, vitamin D, vitamin E, but it's dosed by your weight and age. And this is important. So no one takes exactly the same amount. But this is what I first looked at. And again, we can send you videos about this. You can learn about our health protocol premium to address gut health. We have some cutting edge science that we've been working on for 8 years. I was on with the founder of the company this morning, Orion Sali, and what they're coming out with this fall is cutting edge science to test your gut for your gut health. And Xenobiotic is such a powerful product. Again, I'm not going to go through our product line with you today. We're also in skincare, weight management, but starting with the Zinzino balance test and balance oil, we are already doing something no one else is doing in the industry. We are a disruptor in the health and wellness industry. And how big is the wellness industry? Well, many years ago, around 2017, I met a guy named Paul Zane Pilzer, and we did a seminar at the Cologne Arena to over 10,000 people together. And he said the next $1 trillion industry was the wellness industry. And he said that back in 2001. He was an economist working for two different White Houses. And I said, well, what is the wellness industry? He said it's health clubs, personal trainers, vitamins, proactive. These are things for proactive, or they're preventive options for mostly healthy people. And look at this marketplace. By 2011, he was on point. It was already 700 billion. Well, 20 years later, 6.3 trillion. He overshot his goal. In fact, I looked it up this weekend. The target, for according to Statistica, is we're talking about a $9 trillion marketplace. So is this a good place to play when you got a huge problem and we have a huge opportunity? Well, a lot of people get thrown left or right when I talk to them about this business because they hear the term direct selling. network marketing or social selling, and they don't understand how big it is. This is a $168 billion marketplace, according to the World Federal Direct Selling Association, and over 100 million people are involved. I've been doing this type of business full time for 35 years, and it's changed my life because I have freedom. I work from home. I built an income, a residual income. And by helping others to succeed, it's a chance to succeed yourself. The North American market does over $36 billion, the biggest in the world. Central America is also growing like crazy, in South America. Women, you have fought for equality your whole entire lives, or going back eons. 74% of the people in this industry are women. This is your place. You are the champions. Europe is as big as the United States if you take all the countries into consideration. Germany's the biggest, then France, then Italy, the UK. Now we're doing this mainly for the UK market. Think about, you're doing $1.2 billion and over 300,000 people there. But look at where Italy and France and Germany is. The market potential for growth is what I look for as a business person. Where am I positioned? What is the opportunity for growth? Is that a place I want to put my time? You look at the categories sold here. I was involved in energy and telecommunication for 25 years, internet. I never changed one person's life, even though we acquired 1 million customers. Here, we are going to positively impact the lives and the health of over 1 million people. And the number one category happens to be health and wellness within this sector. Personal care, skincare, another place we play with a cutting edge, top of first in class collagen product that you really need to learn about in a skin serum. But this is another marketplace. 56% of all sales out of 168 billion come from these categories. So here we are sitting with a company, Zinzino, that's testing, not guessing. Even if another company has health food products at the health food store that might have a lot of science behind it, might be great, but how do you know they really work? You're hoping, you're guessing. No one really knows if they need them. That's why test-based nutrition is what sets aside Zinzino. 1 million people can't be wrong. We're a disruptor, not just another pill and potion company. That's why I hooked my wagon to the Zinzino freight train. And over a year ago, friends of mine put $1 million into the stock of Zinzino when we signed. It's worth over $2 million now. They paid a dividend for 12 straight years. Now, to do my research, and you can do what I did, go to zinzinotest.com. You then see that's where you would enter your data if you take a test. You get an ID code, you put it in, but you can learn about our tests on that website, zinzinotest.com. I encourage you to go down, scroll where it says learn more about the balance test. Another screen opens and you see a map of the world. I took my mouse, I went around the map, and I looked at each country. They openly said what the tests, how many people have taken a test, what the first test was, what the second test was, proving over and over again the effectiveness of the product. I said, boy, this balance oil is proven. I mean, think of it logically, guys. If this didn't work, would they dare test us after taking the product? Obviously, this is what makes Zinzino different. I said, Germany has had the most tests. 83 million people live there. They went from 15.7 to 3 to 1, but still it's not even 1%. In fact, it's 0.2%. But then wait a minute, out of the 183,000 tests, maybe a lot of those people took a second test. Some maybe took a third, maybe some took one. So even if it was one test per one person, you're talking not even 1% yet. Sweden, where they've been 20 years, tested 140,000 people out of 10.6 million. That's 1.3% of the population if it was one test per person. I went through all the countries and I noticed something interesting. I got down in the United States where I'm from, and 340 million people, 45,000 tests as of this past March, 22.5, one of the worst. Now, Hungary was 37 to 1, obviously a big problem. Now, Czech Republic and Hungary are getting close to 1%. But in the US, not a tenth of 1%, but a hundredth of a tenth of 1%. The market potential is enormous. Now, as a business person, I'm analyzing, should I put my time into this? Should I put my money into this? Should I promote this to people? Well, how do you judge? And I said, look at this. The Baltic countries and the Scandinavian countries, all 8 of them are over 1% market penetration for testing, just testing. I looked at those numbers. I said, I can conclude that we can test 1% of every market given enough time. I also concluded that in the direct selling analysis, that Zinzino became the largest company with the highest revenue stream in every single one of those countries, bigger than all the billion-dollar companies. And there's probably a handful of companies that do over $1 billion a year. And yet Zinzino became bigger, which proved the effectiveness and the stickiness of the product. People stay on this product longer than anywhere else. And I thought to myself, wow, what could I be doing with this? In fact, I looked and I just came from Australia. We just opened New Zealand. I just looked at the Philippines, which is opening. I got a team building up there. Look at India, 1.4 billion, only 3,100 people tested. We are open in India, 40.8, very out of balance. Not even worth putting a percentage. I didn't even add China. It could be the same thing. It's ridiculous. But when I look to my friends in North America, look at Mexico, Canada, USA. The market is enormous. But here's also what I showed you the video of Fox News, why I showed you the white paper to the White House. Because what is happening is awareness is rising in the market. So you probably didn't think about this like I did 15, 16 months ago, unless you're like my friend Stuart Tomk, who was nicknamed Mr. Omega because he was the global spokesman for the largest fish oil company in the world and helped put together their science advisory board and is in Zinzino is an independent partner because of the products. He sees he's brand agnostic. It's whatever works best to impact public health. And he couldn't ignore what Zinzino's doing in spite of it being home business and network marketing, which he knew nothing about. So when we looked at this, he said, my gosh, the opportunity is enormous, even across Europe, as they're now spreading through the south of Europe, where I'm living in Spain right now, as well as the US, back and forth. But the market potential for those in the UK, because I know a lot of you are on from the UK, we still have tested 0.04%. What is the potential of your opportunity? It's unlimited. So as I'm sharing this information, I'm just telling you how I came to my decision to be part of Zinzino. The other reason is I looked at the compensation and I said, how does it work? How do we get paid? And can I teach people how to make money? Because if you can help others to make money, you can make money. And then as I'm thinking about what's been happening economically, so many people are struggling financially. They don't have enough money for clothing for their kids. They can't take a nice holiday. They want to send money back home to their families, maybe to help them. A lot of immigrants in the UK. I think about where I used to be when I was a below broke rock musician, didn't finish college, living paycheck to paycheck. I always had a risk of my car being repossessed, my phone being shut off. That's my life at 29. So I said, I'm not living like this. Teach me something new. Now, we all buy things on the internet. Wouldn't you like to have an online store? And how would you like to learn something so simple like what we're doing today? We'll help you set up your own online store, and you can even get it for free if you want, just to get customers and refer the people to your store, even buy from yourself and make a commission on your products. But what's interesting is 50% of all the revenue from the customers is paid back to people who are recommending the product and building their networks, because we don't spend it on the traditional markups in traditional distribution. We don't have to pay for the advertising, the brick and mortar store, all those middlemen. And that's why we can also invest more in R&D and into quality products. We don't have to serve all those middlemen. So you get your own online store. It's customized, personalized. For people that just want to make extra income, you can do that. We start you at a basic 10%. It can go to 30%. We have international distribution. We can sign up partners and build stores and networks of stores in 45 countries. Our goal is 180. and we're going to deliver to over 100 countries. I'm not going to go through all the retail margins, but it basically works as simple as this. When you get more customers, you make more money. A customer means a product. So if I just get up to 24 products, I'm going to make only 10% of the sales, the purchases. I don't have to do the shipping. I don't have to do the billing. I recommend my store. They buy something, they get a great value. It's shipped to them. I get all the reporting. I get paid. You go to what we call a team with 25 products. They're going to double all the override residuals on your team. It's, with 25 products being purchased every month, you can make about 200 euros, $170 in the US. That's about $230. You get to about 50 products, you're making 255 up to 300. Stacy, my fiance, and I topped 100 products last November. And what happened is not only do we get a base of 425 in or 500 euros, or in the US it's like 500 and I think $40 something like that. They gave us a one-time cash bonus of 8,500 pounds, 10,000 euros or $11,500. Now they do pay it over 25 months, which it makes sense from the company's perspective to keep our stores active. Every month I have 100 product sales, Stacy and I do. And I never went to look for selling products. This is the funniest thing ever. I don't even want you to try to sell the products. That sounds strange. I just want you to educate people about this important biomarker. People ask me what I'm doing. I'm promoting a blood screening for a publicly traded company that reveals the most important number you don't know about your health. Now, I'm no doctor, but let me send you a video. And I send them a video that creates curiosity. So instead of trying to sell and convince people, I'm educated. I say, Google this. If health's important to you, you might want to know about this. And then, of course, we start having testimonials. Now, what's great about Zinzino is we grow organically. We don't advertise. But who's the best person to market anything? A satisfied customer. If you like a good movie, you tell somebody about it. You eat at a good restaurant, you tell somebody about it. Well, if you take this dry blood spot test and you learn something so important about your health, and then you see a transformation, also you feel it. Your hair looks better, your nails look better, your skin really improves, your aches and pains start to improve. We hear all different types of testimonials. Just start researching the subject and you'll be blown away, just like I was. I learned so much. But here's what was cool about Zinzino. Every single customer, our 20,000 customers we have, are all encouraged to tell their friends, family about it. And every time they do this, refer 4 products of the same or greater value, your product can be free. You just pay your shipping. And even we'll refund the shipping with what's called Zeno Cash and give you some free products for it later. At the same time, partners, if you start an online store, you also get free product, but you get paid. So let me just give you a summary of how you build an organization, how you actually go beyond someone that's just making some extra money to someone that might be able to earn income that can replace what you earn right now in your full-time job, give you freedom of a home-based business, a chance to work when you want, where you want, with who you want. And that's through building a team. And this graph, this is you just getting customers. That's like anything in sales. But what we're doing is we're going to introduce people, just like the founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, went out there and said, let's sell franchises. He sold opportunity. What I'm doing on today's Zoom is educating you about opportunity and why you should take Zinzino as an opportunity, even as serious as you take your health, because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Now, there's a lot to learn. We're not going to cover it all tonight, but we have ranks that you can earn, just like in the corporate world. When you do a good job, when you elevate, when you create more value for your existing organization or company, you're going to probably earn more money and you're going to have more responsibilities. But here, if I can help people to grow just building 2 teams, do you think you know 2 people that might be interested in opportunity? You can grow to what we call a black crown and a significant residual income. If you build 3 teams, 4 teams or more, you can advance to some of the highest levels. So as an overview, I just want to take you through this. Now, the incomes you're seeing here in the UK Okay, these are documented Zinzino average earnings, residual incomes at different levels of our plan. This is all based on actual customers, people generating customers from their own store. And like if you introduce me, you could override a percentage of my store, but then I could introduce John, you could get an override on his store. See, and this is where people sometimes don't understand our industry. We're building distribution no different than a franchise is duplicating over and over. You basically sign an agreement with Zinzino. You pay nothing for a basic store, but if you want to build a network, you're going to want to buy a package of products. And then you get some tests, you get a big wholesale discount, and then you start introducing people to the business. In fact, you can earn the retail, which we covered. We covered the Zinzino for free. But we have a program where if you introduce two people to our business in your first 60 days that set up an online store, and they do what we call some wholesale business, meaning they buy a partner kit that would have like 10 tests in it. And it's over in the US, it's like over $3,000 worth of products for just over 1,000. And it's similar in the UK. But we're going to show you how to sponsor two partners, set up two stores, and help them do the same thing. And with getting 10 personal customer points each or product points, even ones you purchase yourself, you can earn up to 2,000 in your first 100, over 2,000 in your first 120 days. That's almost 3,000 US dollars when you convert it, or 2,500 euros. We have bonuses that we're not going to cover in detail today, but just imagine this. If you can teach and train me how to get some customers, show me how to work my back office, and I acquire some customers, I get paid. Well, if I get paid, you get paid too. Now, people ask, how much do I override my network? So, what if you introduce me and I introduce John and he introduced Stacy, who introduces Linda and Frenna, and we start duplicating and it starts going into other countries around the world, which is what's happening right now in our organization? How do you get paid on all that? Well, there's a lot of moving pieces, but overall, you're making a 10 to 15% override commission on all the commissionable sales in the network of shops. So that's the basic override concept. As you move from different positions like bronze to silver to gold, these are great levels to make a few £100s a month. As you move up into executive ranks, you're getting up to 690. Platinum is 1,200. Diamonds is over 3,400. We have over 25 diamonds in our group right now. And as people move up and up and up, crowns get over 10,000 pounds, but black crowns are making 17,000 pounds on average. I honestly was making a lot more than that when I hit that level. So it's not the low, it's not the high. I can tell you for sure that we're making more than all of these numbers show here. But rank advancement bonuses can be significant. When you hit president, if you ever do, that's €120,000 bonus that you can earn for getting to that level. One of the interesting pieces about our network, which I love in our compensation plan, is how we're incentivized to really help others. Remember, help enough other people get what they want, you get what you want. So, John, if you were introducing me to Zinzino, you'd want to help me make as much money as possible because it's possible for you to make a 5% matching income. So if I was making 1,000 team commission as an example, you could make 5%, but you could also eventually qualify for 25% and make 250 on my 1,000. So I make 1,000, you make 250. What if you taught 10 people like me to do that? What if I was making 1,000 a week? Or what if I was making 10,000 a month or 20,000 or over 50 like I am now? What would that mean? Do you see how this is really wonderful in the real world of business? When someone advances, the guy at the top, because there's fewer and fewer promotions, and especially if they're older and don't have the technology skills, they're worried about the younger people and they're paid less. So they're coming up the ranks, they suppress them. They're keeping you down. And with AI and automation, even if you're a high paid lawyer, you better watch out for your job and career. I was reading an article over the weekend when I was speaking in London, telling them about a person who was making 150,000 a year, is now living in a trader because you know what his whole career was based on? Doing coding. AI is replacing all their jobs, and now he's driving for DoorDash. The world is changing. Diversification of your income, whether you do Zinzino or not, you need to pay attention. Ask yourself, are you creating anything in the business you're doing now, the job you're doing now? See, we're creating a distribution chain so that as we put in other products, as people trust the balance oil, they're going to want to know about a xenobiotic. Then they're going to want to try our skincare products and so forth. You can earn higher incomes than the 10 and 15% as you move up. You can even earn shares in this company. That's what blew me away. Now, you can invest, you can follow the stock market and see what Zinzino's been doing. But I love the fact that if I do the job that I've done in my past company here, you get to share in the ownership, the equity. You're not just building it for someone else. In fact, 16 or 18 of the top 20 shareholders are all distributors in the field. So this is the shares that are on the table. Again, this is only for the elite of the elite. So if you stayed in long enough, you're good enough, you help enough of people succeed, the income is there. So whether you're looking for a little extra money, you're looking for career replacement, or you've had the biggest dream ever, when you look at this, these are numbers that have already been achieved and more. It's just a matter of what you're looking for. So are you interested in earning an online shop? If you are, choose one of our starter kits, basic, advanced, or ultimate. If you just want to retail, get it for free. But if you're going to build a business, choose a kit. This is a business opportunity. So pick one of the partner kits. The best thing about the ultimate kit, which is just over £1,000, is you're getting a 66% discount. And how would you like to get it for free? Here's how you get it for free. You pay for it up front, and then in 1 year, if you have 25 products on subscription customers, products, you could actually qualify. In fact, Stacey and I have over 10 in our own home, but you would qualify for a full refund of what you paid for that ultimate kit. In this case, you'd get back 1,039. So that means you would have received over 3,000 in value for that. So again, the ultimate pack is why 70% of our people start, because they get 10 of these balance tests. The tests are what create interest in being customers and generating our business. Now, I'm going to close you with a 2-minute video from a friend of mine, Mr. Larry Raskin. Larry Raskin introduced me to a company 26 years ago. He proved he could work with people with no experience in business, and he could build an income that actually hit over 6 figures in US dollars a month in residual income. I was blown away at what he did and with the people he worked with. They came from all backgrounds. And he became the global VP of leadership development. He's an expert in personal development. He and I ran together. He coached me. He helped me become the global top money earner in that company. When he saw what I was doing with Zinzino, he said, I'm going to have my wife work with you. She started building up to that Black Crown level and making those kinds of money while he was still doing his full-time job with another company and a 31-year career. He couldn't sit by anymore. And he came on and got involved. So I'm going to share a story from Mr. Larry Raskin, and we'll end this presentation.
Hey, everyone. I hope your 2025 has started off with a bang. I know mine has. Today, I've embarked upon a new journey, a business adventure so magnificent, so big, that every ounce of my experience says, don't miss this. This changes the game. And as a student of the network marketing profession, someone who has dedicated his business life to this industry, and blessed and fortunate to be with only 2 companies in 38 years, this had to be where I finished my career. It was so obvious, and it was so clear. You know, there are moments in life where everything changes, when the right opportunity, the right leadership, and the right timing collide, and only those who recognize it step up and claim what's theirs. This is that moment. And if you know me, you know I don't do small. I don't gamble with my reputation, and I own the space that I occupy in network marketing. I build, I lead, I win. And when I move, it's because I've seen the next massive wave of opportunity before everyone else. That's why after 38 years in the industry, I made the boldest, smartest, most game-changing move of my career. Not because I had to, not because I needed something new, but because this is a once-in-an-industry breakthrough that's going to reshape the future of health and wellness as we know it. This is the opportunity that no one saw coming. I didn't see it. A Scandinavian life science company just solved the biggest problem in the supplement industry. For decades, people have hoped their supplements have worked. They hoped their bodies were absorbing what they needed. But hope is not a strategy. Now, for the first time, we have test-based nutrition, science-backed, data-driven proof of what your body actually needs. Measurable results. No more guessing, no more wasted money. Stop guessing, start testing. An industry-wide shift. This is the beginning of a global megatrend, something massive. This isn't a new shiny object. This isn't a gimmick. This is the biggest breakthrough in wellness in 50 years. Why this and why now? Listen, I had everything where I was. Success, stability, respect, and I'm here. Why? Because what's coming is huge, because I'm not going to sit out on this when I could be leading. Because I know what happens when you're the first at something this big, and now I'm looking for the right people. I'm building a team, not just any team, a championship team. I want the players, the visionaries, the action takers, the ones who see opportunity and grab it with both hands, the ones who don't settle. Is that you? If you've ever felt like you were meant for more, this is it. If you've ever wished you got early in something massive, I'm telling you, this is it. If you've ever wanted to work with a coach who knows how to build winners, this is it.
And that's what we're telling you. This is it. I hope you had a chance to digest some of what we talked about here today. 16 months in, I'm more convinced than ever of the future of Zinzino. And I can just ask you to please get back to the person that invited you. They are going to be well prepared to give you more information about our products, about our Fast Start program. You want to get positioned with them as soon as possible. And if you decide that you just want to be a customer or try to get yourself tested, that's fantastic. Take care of your health, be proactive. First thing Stacy and I did when we learned this information said, we got to get our kids tested. They're in their 20s, early 30s. They need to know the number, and they all tested worse than we do. So obviously we felt this was important. We got our families tested, our parents tested, because this biomarker was critical. Science knows it. And now the medical community and the mainstream is going to know it too. That's the timing and positioning. Now, if you decide you don't want to take care of your health, that's up to you. You'd rather not know, that's up to you. Financially, maybe you're just a business person. You said, I need change. I want change. Well, like Larry said, this is it. Again, please take this seriously. One day you will hear about Zinzino being a multi-billion-dollar company, and at least you can say, you know what? I remember when it was only this little small company expanding into the UK, into China, into the Philippines, into the USA, around the world. So, John, with that, I'm going to pass it back to you, sir. Thank you so much. I see Mr. Dave Ives on. Good to see you, Dave. You're a superstar in our company. Good to see you on. Hopefully, you were able to digest this, understand it. I just wanted to take the time that we normally don't take to give you a deep dive into how I came to an assessment of Zinzino. I know this is it. So over to you, sir. Thank you for coming on this call tonight.